So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cillian Joy. I'm going to talk about a new viewer that we've created. So, and this viewer is enabled using IIIF, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So I'm just going to give a little bit of background about why we created a viewer and why we use IIIF. Talk a little bit. I have to give some context about IIIF itself. What it is? It's IIIF. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then just show you the application, the viewer itself. And then just, if I get some time, just talk about some of the learnings that we've had throughout the process as well. So say, this isn't obviously all just me. There's a team in Galway. Everybody knows who they are. I can see them in the room here at the moment. So I'm not going to dwell too long on this. This is just a summary of how we work in Galway. So basically, there's a team or a division for digital publishing and innovation. The main tool we use is a digital repository software enabled using Islandora. So basically, the message I'm just trying to say here is that it comes with its own viewer. So if you've preserved and you're providing access to a book, it will look something like this. So this is the typical standard viewer. You're probably familiar with it. This is the Internet Archive viewer. It can do things like page, and you can change how you're paging. You can search inside, so this is searching the OCR text, and then it'll locate that location for you. This is kind of standard stuff, and it gives you a deep zoom as well, so you can zoom right in to exactly what you're looking at, and you can read it. So this viewer comes standard in our digital repository when we ingest a book or some item like that. So that's all good. Now this isn't IIIF. This is just behind the scenes. This is kind of older technology. I'll leave it at that. So why IIIF? So at the same time, we have this repository that we work with. We have ways of working with books and images and different things, and it's all part of how we work in our workflow and process. But at the same time, IIIF, this is going on in the community. It stands for the International Image Interoperability Framework. So we'll be looking at this for a while. I could spend the whole presentation talking about the benefits. Just Google it and you can read about it. But we're convinced of the benefits. It's orientated towards web standards rather than library standards. So the rest of the world is using this technology, uses JSON, JavaScript, things like this. So we're talking the same language as other people. We see creeping into some funder mandates as well, as in what you provide has to be described in a IIIF way. We know as well, after looking at it, there's a learning curve involved in getting up to speed in IIIF, and it's a bit disruptive as well because it's doing things in a different way. So there's all positive things, but obviously it's work then internally about how we're actually going to work with it. So this is where we are with IIIF. So as I said, IIIF stands for International Image Interoperability Framework. The basic model is that just like a painting, you start off with a blank canvas and then you put things on that canvas. So typically that could be an image, but it could also be annotations or it could be other things like that. So once you have your canvas, or your page or your image, whichever way you want to describe it, the next thing you need is a manifest, and the manifest then is a sequence of canvases, so basically paging through the book. So that's where these manifests comes in. And the behind the scenes, how this is all enabled, there's an image API, so you don't prepare an image and like stick it into the book. You put all your images behind an API, and then you ask for the image in a certain way. So I'll describe that now in images, probably an easier way of doing it. So the canvas model is there. This is an example of an old manuscript which would have been torn up, and the separate elements would live physically in different institutions. So using IIIF, you can bring these together digitally. So that could be your one page, and here's your manifest, a sequence of pages. And then this is a quick IIIF tour. And then the image API. So I suppose it's easy. If someone's creating a web page, typically you prepare an image of a specific dimension, of a specific type. It could be PNG or a JPEG. But we typically work with high-resolution images, so you want to keep those safe and controlled. So what we do, the new way now is putting all of those images on a server, an API in front of those, and then you request the type of image you want and the size and different things like this. This is just an example of different requests to the server from the same image, so you can do different things very quickly with it. So the source isn't changed, you're just asking for a different type. So, quick background to IIIF, what we use. So I suppose we were looking for an opportunity to use IIIF. So Ashton talked about this project yesterday, gave some background into the actual archive itself. So one of the elements for this project, Michael Morris O'Shaughnessy, was a digital memoir, or so there's a physical memoir, and we wanted to make a digital memoir. So, but it wasn't just simple as we just going to serve this up as a book and have paging. What we also wanted to do was have a timeline associated with the navigation of the book, because it's a memoir and things are in a chronological order. But also the content of the book, or the memoir, there was references to items that we had in the digital archive. So we thought, wouldn't it be nice to link those items from the book, as you're reading through it, to the actual items in the digital repository. So we looked at IIIF to enable this. So that is what we aim to do. I'm going to jump straight in and show this is it. So this is another book viewer, and this is the viewer that we've actually created. It has all the things that I showed initially, like deep zoom, paging, and all that sort of stuff. But across the top, there's also a timeline. And so I'm just showing here the deep zoom, and also the timeline across the top. So this timeline is quite detailed. I think there's, I'm guessing now, but there could be 60 or 70 different elements. And as you navigate, you can basically navigate the book. It'll drop you to the specific page. So this one is quite detailed. So when you zoom in and out of elements of this particular timeline, and they're all nicely color coded. I'll say this technology, or this viewer is reusable as well. So as you zoom in, you can see these items are, some of the words are highlighted. You can click any one of those highlighted words. It'll show you a preview of the call out, and then it'll show you that item. You can link straight to that item in the digital repository, and you can as where it is preserved and provide access as well. So that's basically the viewer, and that's it in itself for the specific memoir. But the potential of this is slightly bigger, and I suppose that's what excites me more. And the potential really, sorry, I'd say first that we, as I kind of said already, we could have used any technology to deliver this really, but we wanted to use IIIF, standards, and a standard way of doing it, a lower long-term cost, but the key element really is the unified cross-institution and collection usability. So I've shown IIIF an enabled viewer, but what happens, you could have a situation where you have one memoir in one institution, another memoir in another institution, and what you can do with IIIF, if everything is enabled using IIIF, you can have one viewing experience taking content from different organizations, and also not just images, taking different types of content. So you could have an annotation in one organization, you could have the images of a manuscript in one organization, and maybe the text in another. You can bring all this together in one viewing experience. And we're investing in some options related to this as well for this particular memoir, for this particular project. So learnings, I suppose that it's a lot of work, because IIIF, it's a new enough technology. We're talking JSON that's a JavaScript object notation to describe all of this in the background. There aren't really kind of ready-made tools where you can just go off and say, point this at my collection and give me a nice IIIF really quickly. So it's a bit manual. You have to kind of look at creating your own tools. I didn't show a search in the memoir viewer because it hasn't been enabled yet, but that's something that we are working on. So like in our repository, we feel we have search ticked. Search works quite well. It's faceted search. It pulls the fastest from the metadata. It's all lovely. But IIIF works in a slightly different way, so we have to come to grips with that. And then that ties in with the last thing there on the slide, which is infrastructure overlap. I suppose we've kind of had to, initially when we went down this road, I was looking for a nice solution where we could kind of knit in IIIF to our existing repository. And at the moment, that just doesn't exist. And I suppose we have to accept that there's going to be some parallel development going on and overlap going on in what we're doing with IIIF while keeping the shop open. And that's it. Thanks very much.